Okay, so it's the end of day 5 on Svalbard and end of the 4th day of safe training. Before I talk about what we did today, I'm going to quickly mention yesterday. So like I said, I went down the pub, had 2 beers and I was home soon after 11, so it wasn't a particularly wild night. But I think it is worth mentioning that alcohol and cigarettes are actually VAT free on Svalbard. So for instance, all food is really expensive because it's flown in, but alcohol and cigarettes maintain to be pretty cheap on Svalbard. So basically the terrain, the wildlife, and the weather here are all trying to kill you, but if you survive you can get pissed pretty cheap. Not sure if that's a particularly good situation, but it is what it is. Today's safety training had 2 main topics. The first was glaciers, and then afterwards we talked about traveling on sea ice. So glaciers are quite interesting. They're huge bodies of ice. You get different types, but what they all have in common is that they move. They can move quite a lot. They can move up to 15 kilometers a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, especially on a geology scale. And this movement causes cracks in them as they're navigating around mountains and through obstacles. And these cracks can be deep, like several tens of meters deep. Then on top of that, in the spring and summer, they start to melt, and this is exacerbated, of course, by climate change. And so then this melt water runs off somewhere, and so it creates channels and holes. Now, what these channels, holes, and cracks can all have in common is that they can be covered by snow, so you can't see them, and that falling into them is going to really hurt. So the most common accident that you get with glaciers is that you drive your snowmobile on a snow-covered glacier. You park it, and unbeknownst to you, you are situated right above a crack or a melt hole. Then you jump off your snowmobile and you just fall straight through the snow. And so then, when rescue services comes or someone goes by, you see a snowmobile and a very small hole next to it. And the person's tens of meters below. So we talked a lot about how you can try from the landscape to identify where these features might be, where might be dangerous areas and where might be safe areas. And then we practiced with climbing gear how to secure and potentially save someone who's fallen in, and moreover what to do if you're in a group and someone does fall in. So that was quite interesting. But the real exciting topic of today was, of course, sea ice, and as you may have heard, there was a practical involved. So we all kind of realised that cold water is not a good thing, but some numbers to put it into perspective. So if you're much more than 2 minutes in cold water, you're going to slowly start to lose the ability to use your limbs and save yourself. So 2 minutes is kind of the limit to get out by your own. If you're not going to make it in 2 minutes, someone else is going to have to save you. And then the time that you can survive varies greatly, based on a million things, but it's in the order of 15 to 45 minutes. So it's not long, you know. And in Svalbard, if you alert the authorities and ask for help, it can easily take them over an hour to get to where you are. So falling in through ice is not good. So you're going to be able to get someone else out, and you're going to be able to get yourself out. And so we practiced this in a frozen lake. We went there in all our winter gear, and first practiced getting someone else out, which is really difficult. It takes long, especially if you ask the person who was in the water. She thought we were really slow, and it's very difficult to get them out. They weigh a lot. Wet clothes can easily add 10 kilo, can easily add more. And trying to get a hold, drag them out, and then get them warm, get their clothes off, get them into a car or whatever you have. It's difficult. No joke. And then afterwards we had the self-rescue exercise. So we formed an orderly line behind the hole cut into the frozen lake. And then in turns we jumped in, waited 10 seconds for the water to seep into our clothes, because apparently otherwise there would be no point. Then we had to swim across the hole. It was about 2 meters, so not a long distance. And then we had to climb out. Yeah, I don't recommend it if I'm being honest. What I will say is that, I mean, this was a controlled situation. The real situation is, I'm sure, very different. But even in the controlled situation, you get in the water and the adrenaline starts pumping, and it's a very different kind of cold to anything else. So it's yeah. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I recommend you try and get out in 2 minutes. This is my advice. The sooner the better. Yeah, but this was our last day, basically, of lessons. So tomorrow we have a very short theory lesson on snowmobiles, and then we're gonna have a full day driving around Svalbard on snowmobiles and practicing things that we've learned in the past 4 days. Should be quite good. I don't think the scenery is going to be spectacular because it is still pretty dark. But yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.